The last thing Donna ever said to me was at our mother's kitchen table, the summer before she moved to Portland. She looked at me across that yellow formica and said, "I just want you to know I never blamed you." I didn't say anything back. I poured more coffee. I changed the subject. And I have thought about that sentence every single day for the last 11 years. My name is Frances Donnelly. I'm 74 years old, and for 4 decades, I let my younger sister carry the weight of something I did, and told myself for most of those years that I was protecting her. Donna was 3 years younger than me, which when you're children feels like a generation. She was quieter than me, softer, the kind of girl who would find an injured bird in the backyard and sit beside it for hours, not trying to fix it, just keeping it company. I was not that kind of girl. I was the one who got things done. That's what our mother used to say. Frances gets things done. She meant it as a compliment. I took it as one. We grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, in a house on Birch Street that smelled like heating oil in winter and cut grass in summer. Our father worked for the railroad. Our mother worked at the school cafeteria, and then came home and cooked a real dinner anyway, every night, because that's what women did in 1963. There wasn't much extra money, but there was a sense of order. You knew the rules, you followed them. And if you broke them, you said so. That was the theory anyway. The thing I did happened in October of 1974. I was 23. Donna was 20. I had been working for 2 years at an insurance office downtown, filing mostly and answering phones. The kind of job that was the only job available to women then, unless you wanted to be a teacher or a nurse. I didn't want to be either. I wanted something I couldn't name yet. There was a man at that office. His name was Gerald Phelan. He was 31, married, and he was exactly the kind of man who knew how to make a 23-year-old feel like the most interesting person in the room. I knew he was married. That's the part I spent 40 years not saying out loud. I knew, and I did it anyway. It lasted about 4 months. It ended the way those things always end, which is badly, and with someone crying in a parking lot. And in this case, the someone was me. Gerald went back to his life without particular difficulty. I went back to mine with a great deal. What I took from it, beyond the obvious, was a letter. He had written me several. I had written him one. And somehow, in the chaos of the ending, that one letter, mine, in my handwriting, with my words in it, ended up not where it was supposed to be. It ended up in a place where our mother found it, and our mother, God rest her, read it. She didn't come to me first, she went to Donna. I don't know exactly what happened in that conversation. I was at work when it took place. What I know is what Donna told me afterward, standing in the doorway of my bedroom with her arms crossed and her face doing something complicated that I had never seen on her before. She said, "Mom thinks the letter is mine." I didn't tell her otherwise. I looked at her. I said, "Why not?" And Donna said, "Because you needed me not to." That was it. No negotiation. No discussion of what it would cost her. She had simply looked at the situation, understood it faster than I had, and stepped in front of it. Our mother spent the better part of that winter furious at Donna. Cold silences at dinner, comments about character, comments about the kind of woman who would involve herself with a married man. Donna absorbed all of it without saying a word to change it. She just waited for it to pass. And it passed. And I let it. There was a period, and I think this is important to say, when I genuinely believed I would correct it. I told myself I was waiting for the right moment. I told myself the right moment would come and I would tell my mother the truth, and that would be that. The right moment never came, of course, because I never looked for it. What I did instead was what people do when they owe someone a debt they can't repay. I became indispensable. I was the sister who showed up. When Donna had her first baby in 1979, I was there for 2 weeks. When her husband lost his job in 1986, I sent money without being asked. When she needed someone to drive her to her biopsy in 1998, I drove 4 hours each way without complaint. I told myself I was being a good sister. I was. I also told myself that these things balanced the ledger. They did not. The truth is that I never once said to Donna out loud and plainly, "What you did for me cost you something, and I know it, and I am sorry." I never said that, not once in 40 years. Donna died in 2013. Pancreatic cancer, which is the kind that doesn't give you much time to prepare. She was in Portland by then, close to her daughter, which was where she wanted to be. I flew out twice during those last few months. The second trip was the one where we sat at her kitchen table, not yellow formica, that was our mother's, and she said what she said. "I just want you to know I never blamed you." I have turned those words over so many times that they've worn smooth. For a long time, I received them as a gift. Absolution, almost. She wasn't angry. She didn't blame me. We were fine. We had always been fine. It took me years to understand what she was actually saying. She knew. She had always known. Not just about the letter. She knew I had never corrected it. She knew I had carried that around and found ways to manage it that didn't require me to speak. And she had watched me do that for decades. And she had decided, at the very end of her life, with whatever energy she had left, to release me from it. That was the last thing she gave me. And I didn't even have the grace to acknowledge what it was. I sat with that for a long time before I understood what the real confession was. It wasn't that I let her take the blame. People do things like that when they're young and frightened and not yet fully formed. That's not an excuse, but it's not the whole story either. The real thing, the thing I had to look at squarely, was that I spent 40 years constructing a version of events in which I was, at worst, a woman who made one mistake in her 20s and learned from it. I had arranged everything around that version. The help I gave, the presents I offered, the sister I became. All of it was real. None of it was innocent. Because underneath all of it was the understanding that I would never be asked to simply say, "I was wrong and it hurt you and I'm sorry." I turned that into wisdom. I told myself that actions speak louder than words. I told myself that people show love through what they do, not what they say. I told myself Donna knew. She did know. That was the problem. She knew exactly what I was doing, and she let me do it. And she loved me anyway. And I accepted that love without ever standing up straight inside it. Maybe you know what that feels like. Not this story exactly, but the shape of it. A version of events you've been tending for so long, it feels like the truth. Someone in your life who absorbed something they didn't have to absorb and never asked you to account for it. And the way you've arranged yourself around that silence so carefully for so many years that you've mistaken the arrangement for peace. Maybe you've been carrying something like that too. I still have the letter, my own copy, the one I kept. I found it a few years ago in a shoebox when I was moving. My handwriting from 1974 is very different from my handwriting now. I stood there in that half-emptied room, and I read it, and it was just a letter. It was just a young woman saying ordinary things to a man who wasn't worth them. I thought about burning it. That felt like something a person does in a movie. I put it back in the shoebox instead. It's in the closet. I know it's there. And sometimes I think that's the most honest thing I've ever done about any of this. Just knowing something is there, not looking away from it, not making it mean more than it does. Donna is gone. She took what she knew with her, and she left me with what she said, and I have to live inside that. I just want you to know I never blamed you. I believe her. I'm not sure that makes it easier.